Welcome to New Life Live, the premier place to receive free advice from Christian psychologists and counselors for the mental, emotional, relational, and spiritual challenges you face. Since 1988, we've offered compassionate responses that combine God's truth with proven psychological principles to guide you toward healing. Our phone lines are open. Call us now at 1-800-229-3000.
Welcome to New Life Live. I'm your host, Brian Perez, and here we are. We're going to be here for 2 hours taking your calls. 1-800-229-3000 is the number. And here to answer the questions that you have, we've got licensed marriage and family therapist Marc Cameron. How's it going, Marc?
Hi, friends. I'm doing well.
Great to have you here today. And Dr. Alice Benton is here, too.
Hello.
She's a clinical psychologist. What's new with you?
Well, very well rested. And you know it's been a good vacation when you don't want your children to go back to school. That's how ours ended.
Well, that's good. That's very good. We'll find out what those secrets are later. Marc, what's on your mind today?
What's on my mind today is discontentment. Not that I'm feeling discontentment, but I want to talk about discontentment because it happens in many marriages. Now, discontentment is when people get stuck, fixated on their hurts and feeling let down, and it leads to bitterness and resentment when it's not dealt with. Now, we all carry expectations of others, and expectations in themselves aren't bad, but there's two different types of expectations I find. There's hope expectations and there's wish expectations. So here's the difference. Hope is usually grounded in a reality, that a desired outcome can happen because there's evidence that supports the reason that it could. Like somebody behaves in a certain way, and so that sets up the expectation that they're likely to do that in the future. Whereas wishing, on the other hand, is not grounded in reality, and it's more idealizing. It's a longing for something that is unlikely or even impossible, and it's usually driven by subconscious expectations. And so it creates this internal longing for things to turn out in a certain way. So thoughts such as, I wish they were more attentive, or I wish they hadn't done that. Okay, those are not really grounded in reality, but more grounded in what we imagine things should be. And then that leaves us feeling let down, agitated, and sometimes even crushed. So here's an example from my personal life. So several years ago, I broke my foot, and my wife and I traded cars, and I had her larger SUV. She had my smaller sedan because it was easier for me to get in and out of her car. Anyway, when she went to the hospital, because she's a nurse, and she was backing into a parking spot, she didn't see a wheelchair, and she dinged my car. Now, I knew it was an accident, and I knew that, she was helping me out in that situation, but still, every time I saw that ding, I was like, I wish she had been more careful with my car. Right, so how do we deal with discontentment? Because when I got stuck on that, I had this bad feeling inside every time I saw it. So some ways to deal with discontentment are, one, acceptance. Accept the current reality. Now, we don't have to like what we accept. We just acknowledge that it is this way, and that helps us stop wishing that it was different. We can also shift our perspective to gratitude. When we cultivate an appreciation for what we have rather than dwelling on the lack, it helps us shift our focus to more positive things in our life. Self-reflection, that's another way that we can cultivate get out of discontentment, because if we can find out where some of these expectations came from in our childhood, if we had lack of connection, we can understand how that's shaping us in adulthood, and then take an action. What's under our control? What's one positive thing that we can do? Can we have a challenging conversation and set some boundaries? Can we invite someone to connect, or can we maybe just find some common ground by listening to someone else to see how we can move forward? So true hope allows for disappointment and sometimes even anticipates it without falling apart. And hope accepts things might not turn out how we want, but it grants room for growth, and that equips us to adjust our expectations going forward. So Romans 15:7 says, accept one another then, just as Christ accepted you, in order to bring praise to God.
Great words to open up today's episode of New Life Live. Now it's your turn. We want to hear from you. What is on your mind? What are you going through? Is there a struggle that you finally want to break free from? Let today be that day. Give us a call at 1-800-229-3000. We've got Marc Cameron and Alice Benton here taking calls for 2 hours. So grab an open line, 1-800-229-3000.
We've been married 33 years. We attended the Intimacy and Marriage Workshop. Even though we've read books, or attended a few other marriage weekends, this was certainly different and a lot more intensive than initially that we thought.
When you come to intimacy in marriage, you're going to be immersed into a 3-day process.
Was not really sure exactly what to expect, but the idea of learning to really understand intimacy was intriguing. We had been in the same patterns of struggle over and over again.
If you've thought, I don't think we can ever change, we're just in this rut and we can't get out, the Intimacy in Marriage workshop can help you get out of the rut.
The Intimacy in Marriage Weekend is July 25th to the 27th in Washington, D.C. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50. 1-800-639-5433.
I would highly recommend it.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're going to get to a question that was submitted to us by Julie. Julie is a Club New Life member, and it's one of the ways we say thank you if you're a Club New Life member, a monthly supporter of New Life Ministries. We take your questions, your calls near the beginning of the program. So Julie wants to know, how can my husband and me connect with our oldest son's 3 daughters, our granddaughters? The 2 older girls are away at college. The youngest is 13. Our daughter-in-law has basically alienated us from them from the time they were born, and our son has been unwilling to rock the boat. We talk to him frequently and see him 4 to 5 times a year and see the girls about once a year, but they cling to their mother when they're around us. I took my sadness to a therapist years ago. She helped me, but working through your grief workbook about 4 years ago was life-changing for me. I've been sending occasional little care packages to the college students and have received formal thank yous for which I am grateful, but my heart longs to know them. Do you have any suggestions for what I might say to break the ice but not scare them off? It seems awkward because I have no idea what they have been told about us over the years. I'm wondering how and if we should address the alienation. A little more background here from Julie. We are not sure, but we believe our daughter-in-law resents us and hasn't forgiven us because we encouraged her and my son to delay marriage until she had had some counseling for an eating disorder. I did send an amends letter and asked for forgiveness, but she couldn't or wouldn't. Our son said she has a hard time letting go of grudges. When the girls were young, she would hold the girls like she was protecting them from us. My husband said he felt like she thought he was a pervert. Our daughter-in-law is from a European country and would converse with her girls in her language in front of us, even though they could speak English also. We're grateful we have 5 other grandchildren that we're very close to, but we grieve the lack of relationship with these 3. So what do you guys say to Julie? Alice, we'll start with you.
Oh, Julie, this is very painful and really complex. And your awareness of that likely resentment is a helpful starting point. And even if you were correct in the advice that you gave, it sounds very reasonable, even loving, that you would want them to start off marriage well, having already dealt with what she was struggling with, the eating disorder. But perhaps the way she received it was completely hurt. She was hurt. She was offended. And so I'm glad you wrote that one forgiveness letter. I would attempt revisiting it, asking if she might join you for a conversation of her choosing with whomever she would want to be a part of it, where you would just be a listener with how it impacted her, that you sent the message in the way that you did originally. And I would have you tell her that you want to invite her into this conversation with the hopes of repair, that you just would gather information from her. You won't give any justification of why you did what you did. And hopefully she would accept that. Knowing that at least one of your granddaughters is of college age, I might also reach out to her again, the college age granddaughter, to say, I would like a closer relationship with you. And I'm wondering if you're interested in that and in what ways you might be open to attempting a little bit more contact. Could we try a get-together? Could we try a phone call? And I would just make those gentle entry attempts and see how they go.
Mark?
Yeah, I think what Alice has given here is just fantastic advice. And it makes sense, Julie, that you long for that connection. And it is really an unfortunate situation. And the Bible says, in so much as it depends upon you, live at peace with everyone. So I love what Alice is saying here about having that conversation, because sometimes you got to let go of being right to do good. And when we're defensive, when we justify ourselves, even if we're right, the other person doesn't often hear that. They just become more defensive, and our message just kind of goes to the wayside. And so I agree, just keep reaching out to the kids. You can do what you can with your daughter-in-law, but know that you will have an individual relationship with each of your grandkids, that's separate from their mother. And so as your grandkids grow older, and especially if they have cousins and they see that their cousins connect with you, I think you'll likely have an opportunity at some point in the future. So keep reaching out, keep telling them that you love them and that you want to have a relationship, and keep praying. And the hope is that they'll reach out at some point in the future and you'll have that opportunity to connect.
One other strategy also occurred to me, that Julie, if your daughter-in-law is not willing to talk with you directly, you might also offer that she could perhaps give explanation or feedback to you through a third party, whether that be her husband or even a therapist, that you might pay for a therapist to talk with your daughter-in-law to get an understanding if she doesn't feel safe enough to tell you directly. Sometimes that helps launch forward the conversation better.
Julie, thank you for sending in your question, and thank you very much for being a Club New Life member. You can find out all about Club New Life on our website, newlife.com, or by calling 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now let's go to the phones, beginning with Thomas in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. New listener Thomas, hello. Welcome to New Life Live. How'd you find out about us?
Yeah, well, it just happened this morning that I was trying to find someone to talk to, and they gave me your phone number.
Nice. Well,
yeah,
let's talk. What's going on? How can we help you?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. I don't know if you have time for me, but we'll go for it. With the situations right now, I find myself in situations that I am so bitter and so angry over things that I can't change or don't seem to manage myself well. I'm in a marriage of 17 years that now I wasn't in love to begin with, and now it's worse as the children in the marriage were in drugs and stuff, and this codependency of working through this thing has just totally drugged me. After I was abused for 15, almost 20 years in a marriage of being choked and beaten, my clothes tore and all that kind of stuff, and then I told God, I said, man, I can't take this anymore. I built her a brand new house, and they can't buy me love, right? So anyway,
Thomas,
I told God, I can't take this no more.
Thomas, a question to clarify: the 15 years of abuse, was that from your current wife?
That was a former marriage. Yeah, that was a former marriage.
And you're still married to the mother of your children who have struggled with substance use?
Oh, no. I divorced. This is a new marriage of recently up to 17 years at this point.
Thank you.
But it's something that I live here, but I'm not in love. And it's a miserable existence for me. I do my best. I take care of it. I know it's not right. There's been so much going on with her, with the stepchildren of drugs and codependency and stuff, and so I'm working through this thing of, after the divorce from my ex, that the church just abandoned me. No one came. I was very involved in it. I try to get involved now and walk in the door, and no one talks, no one says anything, and so I end up with anyway. So here I am, and I don't seem to find an answer. So I'm in isolation, and I'm not. I don't trust. I have very few friends, if any. I have a couple of friends that I've gained recently from older friends.
Thomas, with the way you've been treated, it makes sense that you don't trust and you're isolated. You wish people would approach you. You make yourself available to that by going to church. And so it's so disheartening that as you go to a supposedly trustworthy place, the community is not getting to know you in a proactive way. Now, another question for clarification. Thomas,
being ignored. I can take just being ignored when I walk in a door just so many times, and I say, hey, I don't want to do this.
Mm-hmm. This is just too painful. The children that have struggled with substance use, those are stepchildren, and are any of them still living in the home with you?
Oh no, they're old. They're up there. They're up in their 50s and 60s, and she treats them like children. Still treats them like children, and
And Thomas, with all this disappointment in relationships, you tell us about any professional help that you've gotten.
Well, I was going to some counselors, but it seemed like I was doing them more benefit than me. And so I was looking for a real therapist and hadn't gotten there yet. So now I'm on the end of the smoking telephone here, and saying, God, man, I got to find a way out of this.
When you say real therapist, what do you mean by that? Do you mean that you went to church counselors? You didn't actually go to a licensed therapist?
No, it was actually a counselor. They weren't therapists. And when I talked to my doctor about it, he said, well, we don't have that. We just have counselors. So they just sit there and listen to you and repeat what I said. Oh. So I wasn't really getting any help. And so far I haven't. And so that's why I'm at your door. And I'm going to say this thing that might surprise you. I've been a missionary for 15 to 20 years, gone all over the planet, and loving folks. I love folks, man. Everywhere I go, I love folks. It seems to be hard to get it back. It's hard to receive it.
What's your question for us, Thomas, that we can help you with?
I don't know. There's so much that was going through there at one time. I'm not sure how to deal with it.
Is it how do you connect with your current wife now in a marriage that you're feeling disappointed in?
Oh, well, it's like living. We just live here, and we're friends. There's no real. I mean, and she's a very sweet.
Are you looking to change that, Thomas? Do you want to connect better with her?
Oh no, I would.
So you're happy with the way things are?
No, not at all. I live with this disappointment and wishing there was others, and I haven't been able to find any way of peace or resolution. I have someone else that I'm going to talk to live tomorrow in person to try to get to the bottom of this because it's exhausting me. I'm exhausted.
But you'd like to connect with your wife. Is that what you're saying? You'd like to have a fulfilling marriage.
No, I don't trust her. No, I don't trust the situation.
Okay.
I don't trust the situation. I don't trust conversation. We can talk, but as far as getting anything meaningful,
and why don't you trust it? Because from my understanding, it was the prior wife who abused you, not this one. Unless I'm getting mixed up.
Well, what's happened here is that she has taken the children. She is codependent with the children, so she spends more time with them on the telephone and conversations with them, and I'm kind of a bystander in all of this, and so hey, but anyway, I feel like I'm being a burden here just talking about it.
No. Hang on.
Thomas, we greatly respect that you haven't given up. You still keep trying to connect with people, even though so many relationships have been a burn and a burden to you. I think you're right that the counselors you saw previously, you may need more active and proactive care. And something that we frequently recommend is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, EMDR therapy, because it helps to get to some subconscious roots of this anger that's somewhat confusing to you, even though you've pointed out a lot of things that are worth being angry about and hurt about in your life. And we haven't even talked about your family of origin yet. And so going to a specialist in trauma and a specialist in anger who uses the format of EMDR, we think it would help you get to some understanding of these lower levels of why you feel the way you do, why you struggle with this so much. And Thomas, you because you know you're angry, you may know that you perhaps can unintentionally give off an air that people might think you're unapproachable, when in fact the exact opposite might be true. You want to be approached, you're dying to be approached. Yeah. But people that are angry can give off an intensity and an energy that folks read, and it makes them hesitant to approach. And so you may have to be extra active and letting your church know. And if this is not the right church for this, then you might have to shop around a bit. I need people. I need community. Where can I get connected? What men's groups can I be a part of? Because I really want to figure out relationship. I want to know how to connect with people. So you may have to be more vocal about it because people might be hesitant to approach you.
Yeah, I remember when I was a single dad going to a church and just longing for people to connect with me too. And I would go every week and thinking, you know, is someone going to talk to me? Is someone going to say anything? And it was a huge church and I felt just so alone. But since I've been remarried and I see how my wife connects with other people, she is the one who goes and reaches out. And I think there's so many people who are just wanting to be connected, but they don't know how to start the conversation. I think there's other people who may be feeling like you're feeling here, Thomas, too. Now, I've got some other thoughts, but we're running up to a break, and I'll give those to you on the other side of it.
Okay, Thomas, stay on the phone. We'll get back to you in a little bit. We also want to talk to Marie and Joe and Joanne and anyone else who wants to talk to Marc Cameron and Alice Benton. We're taking calls for 2 hours today at 1-800-229-3000. What issues are you struggling with that we can try to help you with? We can assist you here at New Life. We've been doing this for 37 years. Give us a call, 1-800-229-3000.
Early on, looking at pornography that went into affairs, massage parlors, strip clubs with buddies. Before you know it, you're ashamed of that.
Every day, men struggle with sexual integrity, impure thoughts, strip clubs, affairs, pornography.
My wife got a phone call, and she asked me who this person was, and man, how do I get myself out of this one?
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity and purity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle intensive.
When she said to me, I want you to look at this website named Every Man's Battle, she had me look, and I said, no, this is exactly where I need to be. This is exactly the problems I have, and I'm gonna go.
You don't have to struggle any longer. Get help in Washington, D.C., April 25th through the 27th. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to register or to find out more. 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. Use the discount code NLL to save $50. For over 35 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addiction, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
I found a counselor through New Life Ministries, and it's just been outstanding.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first steps toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door for a better tomorrow.
To get someone that's competent, that's good at what they do, it's been like day and night compared to what I've had before.
Call 1-800-639-5433. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Thank you so much for listening today and for watching as well. And now let's go back to Thomas in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Well, Mark, you had something that you wanted to...
Yeah, Thomas, what I want to suggest to you is, I know you're going to go see someone tomorrow, and so that's good. But what I want to suggest to you is that you find somebody who takes a historical approach, because what I'm hearing from you are some patterns that have happened in your life. And when we can start to see ourselves as a common denominator in the patterns. I'm not saying that you're responsible for anyone abusing you. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is when we can identify our common role in relationships that we take, we can often identify patterns that we get stuck in that come from somewhere. Now, I think everybody has an attachment style, and what that is, it's a learned bonding style. And I think you may have an attachment style called the vacillator attachment style, and that attachment style longs for connection. But they often get disappointed by others, and then they end up feeling alone, and then they get mad, and then they want to detach. They want to push away to show the other person that they're hurt and to relieve their pain. But really what they're longing for is that deep connection. And I think if you go to someone who can help you understand your attachment style, you might start to see your part in this pattern. And I think your wife ultimately does have a part in it too. So every marriage has a core conflict pattern, and I think if you both can understand that and come to some kind of common ground for what she may want out of the marriage, where you can find some compromise, I think you may be able to move forward rather than staying stuck and hopeless and just trying to find help for how you can live in discontentment. Because I don't think you'll find peace going that route.
Thomas, it was good talking to you today on New Life Live. Stay on the phone. We want to send you a copy of the book, How We Love. Also want to let you know about a marriage intensive that is happening in July in Washington, D.C. that you and your wife really should attend. It's called Intimacy in Marriage. You can get all the details about it at newlife.com or by calling 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Another intensive we offer is the Every Man's Battle Intensive, and that is also a podcast. A new episode of Every Man's Battle drops every Monday, and today is Monday. It's a weekly podcast where you'll hear honest conversation and encouragement for living a life with sexual integrity. Find it wherever you get your podcasts, or you can watch it on the New Life Live YouTube channel, or the New Life YouTube channel, I should say. Be sure to like and share the episode. It really helps us. And now let's go back to the phones. Here is Marie in Tehachapi listening on the podcast of New Life. Welcome to the program, Marie. I'm hearing a lot of background noise. Are you driving with your windows down or something?
I am driving. Let me pull over real quick, and I can take you off of the Bluetooth. So I just wanted to ask, I guess this is complicated for me, but it seems like it might be a simple answer. I don't know. I have been separated from my husband. I've been separated from my husband for a year and 4 months.
Okay.
And I recently asked him, about maybe trying to work it out and getting back together. And he just kept saying, well, I haven't decided. So I kind of gave him like an end date to decide, you got to decide by this time. Right? And otherwise I was just going to not communicate and just kind of go... no contact, because I told him I just didn't feel comfortable being in limbo, and either we are or we're not, or this kind of thing, because we did spend the holidays together and something that really went well, but then he likes I think he enjoys being by himself. We've been living in separate homes. So then when he decided not to decide, that's what he said, I haven't decided. So to me, that's when you decide not to decide, that's a decision.
Well, that is true. Who initiated the separation, Marie, and for what reason?
I initiated the separation because I was living in a sexless marriage, full of neglect and just complete, just being ignored, and I couldn't tolerate it anymore. I went to therapy, couples therapy. I went to intensives. I went to different marriage, 3-day kind of workshop.
What was when you initiated the separation at the beginning, what was the purpose? What were some ground rules set down? How did you communicate that to him and say, and did you give a pathway back to reconciliation?
Yes. Because I said, maybe what we need to do is just go separate for a while, but we'd be married but live separately, right? And still be married, And initially, he was coming over the house and helping with little things to establish my house and stuff like that. But as the year went, he got further and further distance again. That's kind of his MO. When we first got married, he was just always there, and then slowly distant. So this is our second time trying to be married. We were married for 16 years, and then we've been married 10 years now. There was a divorce, and we were separated for 2 years. But I just want to know, my question is, how do I stop thinking about him? Like, how do I do all my things. I mean, I read the Bible, I go to Sunday school. Every chance anybody has, they're like, oh, let's go do something. I'm right there living my life. But in the background, he's always there.
Okay, we will answer your questions when we come back from the break here on New Life Live. What do you want to talk about? We are here taking calls for 2 hours today at 1-800-229-3000, and we would love to help you resolve your situation, whether it's a marriage relationship or relationship with your kids, relationship at your job, at your church, wherever. Give us a call, 1-800-229-3000.
Restore gave me strength. It gave me more belief in my faith. I met up with a group of women that are going through things that they had no control over.
If you've been affected by betrayal, an emotional or physical affair, or pornography, the Restore Intensive will equip you with support and tools to help you through.
When two people want to do their part, we can be restored. But if they don't, we can still be restored. We are not stuck because someone else made a decision. That God lets us weigh in on how we want to walk out our lives. Our wellness does not hinge on another person's decision.
The Restore Intensive is coming to Dallas, Texas, May 2nd through the 4th. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50.
I had a great experience at Restore.
1-800-NEW-LIFE and the discount code NLL.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We've got lots of great questions coming up here on New Life Live. The only one we're missing is yours. So call in, 1-800-229-3000. Right now, let's go back to Marie, who's calling in from Tehachapi today. Mark, I think you had a question for Marie?
Yeah, so Marie, I know that you asked how do you stop thinking about him, but I have a different question for you. Are you, because you're wanting to reconcile with him, but are you willing to reconcile with him with how things currently are if nothing has changed?
No.
No. Okay. So here's what I would say, and you may have done this, but I didn't hear that you said that you did this. So you initiated a separation, and you said maybe it's better that we live separately. And he's gotten used to that, and he's gotten comfortable with that. Now, whenever somebody initiates a separation, I encourage that person to have a separation plan. Meaning you outline what the problem is, and then you outline what it takes to get back into a relationship with each other. And you say what you're going to do, but you also say to the other person, here's what I'd like you to do. And I don't know if that really was, it doesn't sound like you have specified that to him. And so he might be confused and he might be comfortable. But if you haven't done that piece, then I think something's missing here, because if you do want to make this permanent and detach, yeah, I mean detachment is hard and it takes time to stop thinking about someone. But since you've invested 28 years here, 16 years, then 2 in the middle, and then another 10, and it sounds like he's still willing to connect with you. I wonder if there's a piece missing here.
And Marie, go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm sure there is, and I've never done this before, where you separate and still be married, and so I didn't know like how to navigate that. I just thought, unwittingly, I thought that he was thinking the same thing that I was thinking, and now that he's had this single life where he can, like, you know, not to do dishes if he doesn't want to do the dishes, not take the trash out if he doesn't want to take the trash out. You know, he doesn't have this nagging wife going, hey, you haven't washed the dishes, pick up your clothes. You know, that kind of stuff. So he's like, oh, cool, this is living. You know, and meanwhile, I'm over here pining for my husband. But then I think, what am I pining for? The man ignored me for, like, you know, 20-something years.
Well, so here's the hard part. Sometimes people initiate a separation because they actually want more connection. But you can't get closeness by when you cause a distance. And so what I would do if I were you is I would just take responsibility for your part. I would acknowledge that. I would recognize that. I would let him know that, you know, you initiate the separation because you were hurt, but you realize that you didn't actually give any kind of direction for this. And then I would find out also what are his hurts in the marriage, because the marriage is the coming together of two people, and both have hurts typically and both have desires. And so I would get with a therapist who can help you both learn to do that.
And that would probably be a therapist who has experience with therapeutic separation. So that if you decide to end communication with him because he is not making a choice other than separation about the marriage, that you do it with the guidance of a professional, so that you set the boundaries up in a way that makes them more likely to be successful. I think there's more exploration to do. You probably have some answer to this, but why there was no sexual intimacy for some 30 years is a really important question to get an answer to.
It wasn't 30 years. It was in our second marriage. We got married. He was good. You know, we were great for like the first year. And then after that, it slowly became to like it was once a year, and then it was nothing. So by the end of it was nothing.
And I think you would need to know, was there a medical problem? Was it because
I asked all that. I tried
answers.
to get no answers. And he's not very forthcoming. The only thing that I've heard him say was that 30 years ago when he married me and I had 4 children, that no one ever told him thank you for marrying a woman with 4 children.
Oh, you brought 4 children into the marriage with him? Is that right?
Right.
And he thinks no one ever said thank you.
And then we had one together. Right.
Okay. So you said something about yourself, and maybe you were joking, but there might have been some truth to it. You said, well, now he doesn't have a nagging wife. And he says, nobody ever thanked me for marrying a woman with 4 children. Now, I'm sure he's exaggerating, and I would think you're exaggerating about yourself as well, being a nagging wife. But usually there's a kernel of truth to those kinds of exaggerations. So if he received little gratitude over all those years, becoming the father to your children, then that lack of gratitude or limited gratitude, that does cause a pretty deep wound over time. If you really do nag sometimes, if you struggle to be assertive in a kind and gentle way, that gets very difficult to live with. So if you were to take those, even just those 2 things to him, you know, maybe I haven't listened enough to the lack of gratitude you've complained about. Maybe we haven't talked enough about how I can be nagging sometimes, and that's hard for you. Can we reconsider that before we end everything completely? Because I want to do work on me. If it's possible for us to reconcile, I'd bring those things up. With no sexual intimacy for some years, you also have to wonder, unfortunately, about infidelity or pornography, which is a biblical reason to end a marriage. And you may not get an honest answer from him about that, but I would wonder about it. And then your question, how do I stop thinking about him? I think that's an impossible thing to do because he's the father of one of your children, because he's been in your life for all these years. But I know something that can help. The choice to proactively lament, to grieve his lack of effort in loving you the way you needed to be loved, and then processing and allowing your anger at yourself that you stayed with him, that you got back together with him, and your anger at God, that God didn't stop this marriage, didn't stop the second one. Those would be ways to help you think about him less and have less pain when you do think about him.
But ask him too, Marie, what would marriage look like for him if he was content and you guys were reconciled? Because you both have needs here too. And so I think if you start the conversation where you're trying to find some common ground and you're wanting to know about his hurt too, so both of you are meeting each other's needs, you're more likely to have success.
What should we send her from the newlife.com store? What would you say? I know there's a life recovery workbook for grief, which you mentioned. You mentioned grief a little bit ago, but I don't know if that would be the best
I think
resource.
that's the answer to her question. How do I stop thinking about him? The Grief Recovery Workbook will help her think about him in less painful ways.
Okay, then we'll do that. We'll send that to you. Stay on hold, and we'll get your address, and we'll put that in the mail to you. 1-800-229-3000 is our number. We've got Kai coming up, Sean, Jenny, Joanne. Right now, here's Joe, who is in Pittsburgh, listening on WWNL. Hi there. Welcome to New Life Live.
Oh, hello. Hello.
How can we help you today, sir?
Yeah. I was listening to 2 previous callers and thought to myself, well, I'm not alone in my situation. Especially to the second caller. Well, I've been in a relationship for 30-plus years. Last 2, there has been no intimacy. And so my question is, and I'm trying to deal with it with God's help on my own, how do I deal with no intimacy? And obviously I'm talking sexual, holding hand, kissing. But other than that, that's my question. How do I, as a man, deal with that? Because I haven't went outside the marriage. I have friends, but it's a very, you look at yourself and you're like, okay, I'm married, and I got married, and it was there once, and now it's not there. There are a couple issues.
Do you know the reason why sex has slowed down, Joe?
Well, there's a couple different things. I mean, I get too, descriptive. As far as like an injury to
you or her?
To her, yeah.
Okay.
Injury, and but and then for woman herself is there was something going on there, but they went to the doctor. She went to the doctor, and they basically told her that there's nothing really going on, and they recommended different things. And so I sit back and I think, well, what is preventing her from, wanting, even though she will say she wants it, but then, it's like, okay, well, I can't step over that boundary anymore because I know where it'll go into, won't go into a good communication.
So it's physically painful for her, is what you're saying, with the injury.
That's yes, okay. Yes. And then, she had said that a while back it was that way, which I never knew.
Okay, stay on the phone. We've got to take a break now, but we'll be back to you, Joe, in a little bit on New Life Live, and we're taking calls for 2 hours today. So if you've got a question for Marc Cameron or Dr. Alice Benton, give us a call. We would love to talk to you about whatever it is that you're going through. If you're watching us right now on the New Life YouTube channel or on Facebook, you can call us as well. The number is 1-800-229-3000, and we've got a line just for you right now. So call in, 1-800-229-3000.
Do you need help for life's hard situations?
My husband recently said he wanted a divorce.
I'm confused on what I should do.
I have an eating disorder.
New Life Live answers your questions on relationships, grief, addiction, trauma, anxiety, and much more, all from a biblical perspective with our panel of professional counselors and psychologists.
I learn a lot from your program.
You help so many people.
I appreciate your ministry.
Whether you listen or watch, there are so many ways to connect with us to ask our panel of counselors a question. Call us Monday through Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific at 1-800-229-3000 to ask your question on New Life Live. Or go to newlife.com/radio for other ways to get your question answered.
I'm trying to find help.
I just want to know how to set boundaries.
If it's a sin, what am I supposed to do?
Need a therapist or a coach, a resource, or an intensive? Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Club New Life changes lives.
You guys came along into my life in 2022.
That was a really, really difficult year of my life.
You can help New Life Ministries provide Christ-centered hope and counseling resources to thousands of people by joining Club New Life today.
I began to really process a lot of things that I've needed to for a long time, and y'all were a very big part of that.
When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, you'll make a difference in the lives of individuals and families with godly counsel and connection to help.
I came out of it having never experienced anything like that, and y'all were there.
Join today and help continue the message of hope to a troubled world.
I knew I had to keep going, and I joined Club New Life, and y'all have been the resource that has now been a light for my wife and I.
Go to newlife.com/CNL, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places.
Keep doing what you do because it makes a difference.
newlife.com/CNL. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
And back to Joe in Pittsburgh, who's listening to NLL on WWNL. Welcome back, Joe. You're on with Mark and Alice. Mark, you wanted to say something to Joe?
Yeah, so we're hearing your struggle here, Joe. It is difficult for a man because a man has a constant buildup that eventually needs a release. And oftentimes they don't lose their sex drive throughout the course of their lifetime, but women can, especially when they go through menopause. And I think it was sounding like that's part of the issue of what's happening with your wife. I think some of it is hormonal, likely menopause, and another part of it is an injury where she has physical pain. And I think you said that she's been having that physical pain that, even before the last 2 years that maybe you didn't know about. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. And like I said, she did go to a doctor, and they said to try a different position to recommend. They didn't seem it as anything like serious.
And what's the conversation like? Because you mentioned that if you do approach the subject about sex, it doesn't quite go very well. What does that look like? Have you had conversations about this issue with her?
I have, and I've learned from previous experiences. I learned pretty fast.
Mm-hmm.
If going to that discussion, it comes back to me, and I'm just thinking about myself, and that's not true. And then she says, "Well, you don't realize I have discomfort. I've had this before, and I actually had pain before." And it basically gets to the point where it doesn't go anywhere. It just ends up in a rabbit hole, and I'm feeling, like I'm not able to connect in the communication.
Yeah.
And, there was a part a few months ago where I felt like, she was communicating, which is good, but the discussion kind of ends.
So here's how I would start. I mean, obviously, this is not going to go away. This problem, especially not for you. So I would try and initiate another conversation, and this time I would say, can we have a conversation about our sexual intimacy? And here's what I will do: is I'd like for us to take turns, and I'm willing to take turns first as the listener. So I want to hear about all your thoughts and your hurts and your concerns about it. And then as she tells you, what I want you to do in the role of the listeners is not to defend, not to explain, not to justify, just hear her out, but not in a silent way, in a way that nods your head, says, repeats back some of what she's saying, and then offers some kind of empathy or validation as she's talking, like, that makes sense. Wow, I can see how it would be difficult having pain, especially having pain for many years and not having told me that must have been challenging for you. So I want you to have the conversation that way. And then when it comes to you, what I want you to do is try and find a common ground between you. Say, listen, this desire is not going away from me, but I want to find a way that we can have mutually enjoyable physical connection and even sexual connection with each other. Now, sexual stimulation can come in other ways just from intercourse. But she has to be comfortable knowing that you see her and you understand and you know where she's coming from to be able to engage in that conversation. And if that's too difficult, you might need the help of a third party, a marriage therapist, to help you do that.
Joe, I'm so sorry that she seems to be accusing you of being selfish, when I don't think that's true, but for some reason, that's how she's receiving your advances. She might also be unintentionally blaming you for her years of silent suffering in pain. But you didn't know she was in pain. At least she didn't speak it. Now, I would wonder, did she perhaps try to send you signals because she wasn't able to say it aloud and you didn't pick up on the signals? Not through your own fault, but that can happen. And if your wife is avoidant and if she's a pleaser, it perhaps was hard for her to express that she was in a lot of discomfort. She was unable to tell you. I would wonder about her sexual history, if there was trauma in her life or major disappointment or major sexual pain before her marriage to you that made it difficult for her to speak up. So if she's avoidant and if she's more of a pleaser, it might be hard for her to talk about that. Do you know if that is a part of her story?
No, I don't believe there was. Well, she was never,
Nothing that she's told you. Okay. So
no, nothing that she's told me, so no.
Okay. I do want you to still focus on this belief she has that you're selfish. I don't think you genuinely are, but she may be receiving different signals you're sending as selfish. If you're willing to ask her, I want to find out how it feels like I'm unconcerned about your pain and I just want my way. Would you tell me about that, whether it's about sex or in other areas of our life? Has it felt like I haven't been concerned enough about what you're going through? And brace yourself, Joe, that what she says may not belong to you. She may be projecting some things onto you that don't belong to you, but they still affect you. And your willingness to listen, to seek to understand, might help break down some of that barrier she has that makes her so resistant to talk with you.
And many women have had sexual assault or negative sexual experiences that they've never told anyone about. And so that's why if you can give her the gift of listening, where you show her you're really interested in what she has to say and you're not interested in defending yourself, but you're engaged, you will more likely draw her out. Because there's probably a lot of things in there that maybe you don't know. And that will help bring understanding, because when we don't have understanding, we just make up. When you have a beginning and you have an end, we just, as human beings, we just make up the middle. And oftentimes that's not correct. And when we can have appropriate understanding, then we can have appropriate empathy, and you're more likely to gain some ground in the relationship. Have you tried marriage counseling before, Joe?
Yes, a few times.
Okay.
And with a couple of different folks, and I mean it seems to help. And then there's a couple bumps in the road where she disagrees, or and I was agreeing, and she disagreed, and with the counselor.
And what are some of her concerns that she brings up?
Well, as far as we tried to get in that discussion, but the gentleman was a pastor at church, but really didn't get into too much to that. But well, she brings up we were talking about finances, actually, to be quite honest, and that finances were something that were a concern for her, and that's relates to what's going on now. I mean, she's kind of and I think herself, she looked at herself and wants to do more, but being that she has this other injury, she looks down on herself, and I've tried to uplift her, but I think that's one of them.
Yeah, and I wonder if there's a whole host of other things going on that are just not really related to sexually, because a woman's sexual arousal is initiated through relational connection. And a man's isn't necessarily. So getting to know her and hear her out and connect with her on that emotional level will actually increase her likelihood of her desire for you sexually.
Thank you very much for calling in today. What resource can we send to Joe there in Pittsburgh? What would you say?
How We Love.
How We Love. Okay, we will send that to you, Joe. Thanks for calling in today on New Life Live. 1-800-229-3000 is the number to call. If you're on hold right now, we'll get to you in a little bit, so don't hang up, and we're going to keep the calls coming in. So grab an open line, 1-800-229-3000. And don't forget, we're in the middle of a matching gift right now. You guys, we are able to get an extra $500,000 right now. When you give, it will be doubled up to $500,000. So if you've ever wanted to give to New Life Live, now is the time to do it. You can do that by calling us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE or by visiting newlife.com, or text the word match to 28950. Any amount you give will really go a long way right now, because like I said, it's a matching gift up to $500,000. Okay, keep those calls coming. 1-800-229-3000 is our number. For Marc Cameron and Alice Benton, I'm Brian Perez.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.